I decided to rank every starter Pokemon inside Pokemon Unite. Got it in there early. Inside Pokemon Unite. Yeehaw everybody, Jake your resident content cowboy here. Let's do this thing. There are some awesome starter Pokemon in the game, and it's no surprise. They're extremely popular. They've had really exciting times in the meta. They've also had some pretty questionable times in the meta. Some have released good, some have released bad, so let's go ahead and rank them all. I'm going to try to get rid of a lot of recency bias, and I'm going to try to not make it solely based on what's happening in the meta at this very second, because there have been some amazing times and some pretty bad times for some of these Pokemon. Let's start with our list. Coming in at number 12, that is going to be Meganium. No, I'm kidding. Typhlosion. No, I'm kidding. Feraligatr. Can you believe that we don't have a single Gen 2 starter? Like, I know, whatever, we know what's coming for anniversary, right? But come on, not a single Gen 2 starter? Give me a Feraligatr. Give me a Meganium as a supporter. We want more supporters, right? All right, moving on. I know what we're going to get is Infernape as an all-rounder at some point. Breathe, Jake. Number 12 is going to be Eevee. This is kind of not super fair, but to be honest, it is a starter in one of the games, and I have to mention it. I'm going to put it all the way at the bottom of the list because all the Eevees are broken. This could actually be number 1, but it doesn't really fit the theme of our list. Yes, Glaceon, Espeon, Sylveon, Leafeon, like Umbreon, you guys are all crazy. You're amazing. You're the stars of many metas. You're insanely good. You have sure hit moves. You're a whole thing, but you're not really what this list is about. So Eevee, let's go Eevee to the bottom of our list. Number 11 also faces the same fate. I love you, Pikachu, and yes, you are a starter in a Pokemon game, but I don't feel like you really embody the spirit of this list. I'm so sorry, Pikachu. I understand you came in here for an interview today, but you are not getting the job. If it's any consolation, you're better than like 5 other Pokemon that I kind of just axed in one go. Pikachu is sitting at number 11. A cool Pokemon, a fun support attacker. I actually think it's better in the meta and has been for a while than a lot of people give it credit for, but it doesn't really fit what we're doing here. So goodbye at number 11. Here at number 10 is where we get into what I think a lot of people would consider the real starters of this list. You know, the water, fire, or grass starter that you're able to pick up in your game. This is going to come from Gen 8, and I didn't know exactly where I was going to put this, but as I was going through my list, it was hard for me to get it any higher. I'm very sorry. Cinderace, you are number 10. Cinderace is your stereotypical A-pressing Pokemon. Obviously, every type of MOBA has a character or multiple characters like this, and Unite needed to have one. Cinderace actually, I think, was a really good choice for this role. It's just a basic A-presser. You're kicking your flaming soccer balls, you have a dash, you have a big fireball that you're able to kick, you have an even bigger fireball with your Unite move. It's not super groundbreaking, but it's also not supposed to be. It is just a solid representation of your A-presser Pokemon. Pretty dang good when the game released. Actually had a bit of a run at year 1 at Worlds, but since the game has progressed, this does feel like it's left behind quite a bit. Also not one of my favorite Pokemon in general. I don't think Cinderace is bad by any means, but it really is very, very basic. So basic that I had to put it down here at number 10. A few things going for Cinderace that I think are really good. You get Cinderace for free, which is very cool just by playing the game for a little while, and I think a lot of people were excited about that. It also kind of had that first piece of Hollowware, the Pirate Cinderace, so it does have a special place in my heart, but I don't think it makes it any higher on this list for me. Number 9 is a Pokemon that really pains me to put it this low, but I have to, and that is Charizard, a Gen 1 starter that for a little while had a place in this game, but for so long feels completely lost amongst a sea of not only other better Pokemon, but other better starters. Charizard is an all-rounder that kind of brawls and kind of kites their opponents. It goes in and out, and actually, since it got this really nice quality of life upgrade a while back, where it can hit its flamethrower and continue to move, it's been fine, and it's kind of been fine and forgotten for just the longest time. It also had its Unite move change to where it used to go into the air, you just were able to fly, and then at the end of your Unite move you could grab someone and slam them. it changed to you have to start your Unite move with the grab. Once that happened, it kind of set up some really cool situations, and it also set up Charizard's Unite move getting canceled all the time, and that's never been something that's been fixed. Charizard's Unite move is one of the most cancelable things in the game. It's an old tweet just waiting to resurface. I wish they would fix Charizard just a little bit. It doesn't need a lot, but it feels like one of the most neglected Pokemon in the game, which is shocking. Because it's Charizard. I mean, it's Charizard. But I can't put you any higher, buddy. Honestly, Cinderace probably should have beat you out. For number 8, I have another Pokemon that just seems to be a little forgotten, and a great one, however, that is Greninja. Greninja's odd because it had some really shiny moments in the meta. Again, another free Pokemon that you get. I remember Greninja's hat holoware being very, very exciting, and Greninja's just cool, all right? I get why people want to play it. It is a ninja, it's throwing shuriken, it's freaking cool, I get it. But there's something that's always just been a little off about Greninja to me, and I think it's more the people who play Greninja rather than Greninja. But I'm sorry, at some point, Greninja, you are the company you keep. Everyone that plays you decides that they're a real ninja, they don't know how to participate in the game very well, and they love to always be somewhere that is not useful for the team. Greninja has convinced a load of players that they are ninjas, and honestly, a ninja on your team might as well be an ally for the enemies. It is just rough. Also, Greninja's kind of been left out of the meta for a long time. I do like that they put a lot of emphasis into Water Shuriken lately, and in fact, I think that's the better Greninja build currently. Maybe in some competitive formats you would rather run Surf, but in general, I actually think Greninja does a little better with that, which again is cool, but overall, Greninja just feels, yeah, a bit underwhelming. Number 7 on our list can't go any higher for me just because it's so recent that I don't want to skyrocket something up just because it's relatively new and flashy. That is Meowscarada, a speedster, which was a really cool choice for this Pokemon. I think it's definitely the way you want to go, with two very distinct sort of play styles. You have the more basic Trailblaze Night Slash, just jump in, slash, get a reset on your moves, jump in, slash, very, very basic, with a super exciting team crazy wide Unite move with a great passive. And then you also have this kind of more cerebral, high level flower trick double team play where you're setting up sneaky, almost ish KOs, where you're baiting your opponents to fight a little bit or pulling a Unite move out of them. In general, I think they designed this really well. It plays well, and for a little while had kind of a fun place in a competitive meta. I'm a bit disappointed that we don't see more of it competitively, but regardless, we saw a lot of Meowscarada. I thought they handled its buffs very well after it was released. It released fine. It got some nice but not so powerful buffs that it was completely broken, even though it was dang good. And it's also received a slight nerf. I really like what they've done with Meowscarada. And again, if it was less recent, it actually might be higher on my list. Number 6, I didn't really know where to put. Part of me wanted to put it very, very low, and part of me wanted to put it very high. It's had a rocky road in the game, and it's kind of done so many good and so many bad things. It is Decidueye. Decidueye was an early release in the game. We even had this really fun event where there was like a Halloween event, and there was a pumpkin with Rowlet carved into it, and we were like, oh my god, we know it's coming, and sure enough, it was coming to the game. It was very cool, a very exciting time for Unite. By the way, developers of Unite, if you're listening or you hear this or you just feel this video out there in the world, please do more stuff like that. Like a poster where we can kind of see in the background the shadow of something and everyone's like, oh my god, it's Inteleon. That would be awesome. By the way, where is Inteleon? I really think it is coming to the game, even though I know it's going to be Infernape as an all-rounder. Did I say Infernape? I meant Incineroar. Either way, I don't like Incineroar. Decidueye's been weird, right? At one point, Decidueye had an entire tier named after it because it was so bad, and since then it's stuck. We still have the Decidueye Memorial tier to this very day. We also still have the B tier. Ah! It's been so weird because we have this amazing build for Decidueye, Spirit Shackle, which wasn't amazing at first. They had to buff this thing in like a few ways. And we have Razor Leaf, which is the worst, just the worst. And I don't know if they can ever fix it because Decidueye is just such a squishy little boy that you don't really want to be using Razor Leaf at all. Anyway, Decidueye is a real contentious one. It's a tough one for me to place, but it's also kind of fun for your opponents too, because you get to bully a Decidueye all game. In general, I think it's a great release. I really like it, and I like what it's done for the game. That's why it sits here at this spot. Number 5, we're getting into our top 5 right now, and this was really hard for me to figure out, but I had to go with one that I think has made a super exciting splash into the game. Splash? Don't read into that too much. It's Delphox. Delphox is cool. It was cool on release. Fire Spin was amazing. I was geeking on it so hard, and then they buffed the Flame Charge build. They kind of nerfed Fire Spin. We had Mystical Fire Flame Charge. Now we kind of have a good mix of both being relatively viable, which is cool, even though Fire Spin still seems to be ridiculous. Its Unite move is probably one of the cooler Unite moves in the game. The idea that it had this insanely low cooldown, this huge area, and it lowered healing. It was like Delphox was doing so many things that the game kind of needed at a certain point to disrupt the meta, and Delphox just delivered on that really, really well. It was also a decent Pokemon in lane, not amazing, and it was better in the center area, but I like that not all of the starters had to take the center area. Some of them really need it, but Delphox definitely doesn't feel like it absolutely has to have it. It found a place competitively, it found a place in all other games, and I think it's well liked, had a really cool piece of hollowware, and again, that Unite move is just game-changing and really cool. My number 4 is a Pokemon that if you would have told me it would be this high on this list before it released, I would have said there's absolutely no way. That is Inteleon. I do not like Inteleon, or at least I didn't like Inteleon. In Sword and Shield, I was not excited about my Inteleon. When it evolved into Inteleon, I was like, ugh. Ew. I was not happy. Okay, I really was not happy. I did not like Inteleon. I only started to like Inteleon once they brought it into the game. Once it became a Pokemon in Pokemon Unite, inside Pokemon Unite, for everyone playing along at home. Now I'm fully sold. I really like it. I think the camouflage mechanic is insanely cool. Yes, you can see the Pokemon, but you can't target it with autos. It creates like some really, really cool outplays, but also some really cool counters. The way its move speed gets lowered is a nice little way to counter Inteleon as well. Its mobility is really cool, but not super busted. Snipe Shot is awesome. Huge damage, but you need to be skilled with it. And then at the same time, we have Liquidation, which was, let's be fair, Liquidation was kind of dumb. Actually, Liquidation is probably the only really bad thing about this Pokemon. Also, maybe Water Gun upon release was a little too crazy, but I've loved just about everything about Inteleon. I didn't expect to like the release so much, and it really blew me away. Number 3 is Blaziken. Blaziken might even be higher. It's just so recent, but what a blast this Pokemon is. So incredibly fun, so incredibly good. A great release that they buffed a little bit because they were like, hey, not enough people are playing it. Devs, it wasn't because of Blaziken. It was because of Mewtwo-Y, which was dominating the entire game at the time. The only thing that Blaziken ever had going against it was that it released in the midst of the Mewtwo-Y nonsense meta. Outside of that, Blaziken is just an absolutely amazing, fun, well-designed Pokemon. It's awesome. I love it. It feels like everything that you kind of want this brawling all-rounder to be. Its Unite move, just switching your moveset from one to the other, is great. I have honestly no notes. I think it's so cool. I think they did such a great job with it. Hats off to you, you know? Just don't release it around Mewtwo-Y next time, you know? Maybe balance EX Pokemon. I don't want to get into it. But maybe balance EX Pokemon a little better. Okay? I'm the first person to ever say this. My number 1 and 2, also very hard to figure out, but I think I've set them up, and once I say 2, you'll know 1, so I guess we'll kind of talk about them right next to each other. Number 2 and number 1. 2 will be Venusaur, and number 1, Blastoise. Let's get into it. Venusaur is amazing. Venusaur released, not amazing. However, ever since they kind of changed what was going on with Petal Dance and then they sort of slowly buffed Solar Beam, Venusaur has been on an upward trajectory that has been really exciting to watch. It didn't have a good place in the game right when the game launched, but outside of that, Venusaur has found a place inside of this meta in so many different ways. We've had a Petal Dance meta, we've had a Venusaur meta, now competitively we see a bit of both. Venusaur has just been great, especially after the change for Blastoise, Venusaur, and Charizard to have a level 7 evolution. Now it's not such a weight around your team's neck. You know, we used to have a lot of games where Charmeleon, Wartortle, and Ivysaur were making it very, very late inside of a match, and that is no longer happening, which is cool. I think the biggest thing that puts Venusaur so high on this list is obviously Venu, Char, Blastoise. They're Gen 1 Pokemon. They are what a lot of us think of when we think of Pokemon. We think of kind of Pikachu, some of the original starters, and then probably, you know, some of the starters or big Pokemon in our favorite Pokemon game. And it would be hard for anyone to say that they wouldn't want to see Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise do very well. And it's cool that Venu has 2 different play styles, multiple metas that it's been relevant in, an early battle pass that was very cool, and it's just, yeah, it's just a really, really solid Pokemon, and they've done right by Venusaur, which I'm really happy about. And finally, number 1, of course, is Blastoise. I tried to not put Blastoise at the top of this list. For everyone who knows, like, Blastoise is my dude. Pokemon Blue was my Pokemon game. Like, I am a huge Blastoise and Squirtle fan. That being said, I think Blastoise has just been an absolute force in the game since day one. It has always had a place in so many different metas. Its Hollow was amazing. Its Unite move is freaking insane. It has a disruptive build. It also has a carry build. It's a crazy powerful defender. It's dang cool, and it's got the staying power. I just really can't think of another Pokemon that deserves this number 1 spot. There are some that I absolutely love, like the playstyle of Blaziken, Inteleon, Meowscarada. I think they've nailed a lot of this stuff, but it's hard to say that they haven't created one of the best Pokemon in the game's history with Blastoise, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even in a meta right now where it's kind of a little underwhelming compared to where it was before, it's still an insanely good Pokemon. It'll have its ups and its downs like every Pokemon in the game, but I do think Blastoise has really made that spot as the number 1 starter. I also have to say, it being kind of around at release but not in the game right away also got people super hyped for it, and then it dropped incredibly broken. It was the only Pokemon to ever do this. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Let me know what your favorite starter is in the comments. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all next time. We did it.